This episode of the Young Turks brought to you by Squarespace. Everybody knows that Al Gore is the godfather of global warming climate change movement, and he's been working for decades to reverse that climate change to make sure that we do not have devastating consequences for the planet. Of course, he fought against George W. Bush. He's obviously a Democrat, ran for president against George W. Bush as a Democrat. Obviously, he wants to support a Democratic president. Well, President Obama won. When he did, of course, Al Gore was very happy about that and thought, all right, great, we're now going to address climate change. Well, he's now written a piece in the Rolling Stone magazine saying, yeah, it didn't work out that way. And this is pretty heavy language against President Obama. Here we go. He goes on the warpath. Quote, President Obama has never presented to the American people the magnitude of the climate crisis. He has not defended the science against the ongoing withering and dishonest attacks, nor has he provided a presidential venue for the scientific community to bring the reality of the science before the public. Now, let me tell you why I love that comment. Because it isn't just about climate change. There in that first comment, Al Gore encapsulates the problem for the president entirely. He never makes his own case. He just defers to the Republican case and says, well, I'm not going to go quite as far as the Republicans. So instead of making the case for climate change, when did you ever hear him do that? Did you ever see a big speech from President Obama saying, all right, here's what climate change is a disaster. It's happening. It's imperative that we need to fix it. Here's scientists. Here is the case to be made, et cetera, et cetera. Did you see that speech? I might have missed it. I didn't see it, right? Did you then see action, follow-up action on that? Al Gore, again, in that article in Rolling Stone says, hey, you know what? You proposed legislation, and when the Republicans fought it, you crumbled. You didn't back it up. And he's right. He didn't. And what did we get? Did we get climate change legislation? Nope. We got bupkis. The guy doesn't make his case, if it really is his case. Instead, what do we have? We had the president saying, we're going to do more on nuclear energy. And he was saying that right around the time that the nuclear reactors were melting down in Japan. He has also the worst timing. And what did he say? He said, we're going to do more offshore drilling because the Republicans want to. He said, but I'm not going to quite do as much offshore drilling as the Republicans want. Wow. And then what happened 3 weeks later? Gulf oil disaster, right? Oops, now Obama owns offshore oil drilling. Make your case. Al Gore is right about it in climate change. He's right about it in regards to almost all other issues. Now, the criticism gets even more withering. He says in the second part, quote, during the final years of the Bush-Cheney administration, the rest of the world was waiting for a new president who would aggressively tackle the climate crisis. And when it became clear there would be no real change from the Bush era, the agenda at Copenhagen changed from how do we complete this historic breakthrough to how can we paper over this embarrassing disappointment? Whoa. That's some harsh language, man. And he just said right there was no real change from the Bush era. And the only objective was to try to hang a mission accomplished banner so you can take that embarrassing disappointment and then turn it into, hey, we did something, we got together. And what did they have in Copenhagen? They had a weak agreement to a non-binding resolution. So it doesn't bind you on anything. It doesn't bind us. It doesn't bind anybody else. In other words, bupkis. Nothing got done. And it is embarrassing. But I know President Obama tells us if he gets a second term, oh boy, then he's going to be a lion. I mean, he was a lamb the whole first 3 years, but watch out. Look, as we get closer to the election, believe me, President Obama is going to sound a lot more progressive because the country is progressive. He knows that's how you get votes, right? And he'll say, oh, climate change, we need to do this, we need to do that. If you give me one more vote, and then I'll get around to it. Look, I got to be honest with you. I love that Al Gore called him out. He's like, you didn't get the job done. You didn't even really try. You never even made your own case. And in the end, we had an embarrassing disappointment. Strong words, but they are warranted. If you want to build a website or a blog, where do you go? You go to squarespace.com.
With Squarespace, you don't need any coding experience, and the best part is you can even edit your website on your iPhone.
They give you 24/7 support.
Go to squarespace.com/TYT and get a 2-week trial for free.